Hello, YouTube and podcast listeners. I'm Nay.
I'm SK.
And we're the Dicologists.
Welcome to episode 1, where we try to answer the question of why are we lesbians? So why don't you tell us, Nay, when you first identified as a lesbian and why?
All right, well, I first identified as a lesbian in high school, but before that, I identified as a straight girl.
Let's take a moment of silence for the time when you thought you were straight. Let's take a moment of silence for our heterosexual listeners and viewers. We are praying for you. We know that this is a hopeless condition, and we are hoping and trying.
It's not hopeless, right? Like, I was, converted. They can be converted too.
That you can be converted to being a part of the LGBTQ community. There is hope for you. In any case, please go on.
Back to the story. So I was a straight girl. I went to church with my mom, who was a very religious person. She's a Christian, and as am I, but she believes that all gay people are going to hell with gasoline pants. So that was a very
try to do that.
Interesting, not so interesting childhood. And but anyway, once I got to high school, I was on the high school basketball team.
Let's pause there, which is where all new lesbians are born. Because we promised you we will address all of the lesbian cliches. So on that basketball team, what happened?
So on the basketball team, I finally figured out that I could have a girlfriend, right? And I was talking to a girl at the time, and she put this hickey on my neck, and I was kind of forced, to come out because one Saturday morning I woke up with the hickey and, totally forgot it was there. My mom was like, "Who gave you the hickey?" And she basically was like, I couldn't go to, basketball games, practices or anything like that until I told her, who this person was. So I was forced to tell her, and then once I told her, she contacted the girl's mom and was like, "Your daughter needs to stay away from my daughter," and yada, yada, yada. So that's pretty much how I came out. I've been a lesbian since, though I, still am a lesbian. I'm proud. And
which
with
is
this
really good for me.
Beautiful person here. But
were you a Gold Star lesbian?
I was not a Gold Star lesbian.
For all of our viewers and listeners, Gold Star lesbian is a term that is an unfortunate term that means that a lesbian has never interacted with a man. Which is admirable. That's admirable. And highly recommended in this sexist society. But none of us are Gold Star lesbians.
No.
And I don't think that's something we need to aspire to necessarily. But good luck to you. So let's get into my story now, so we can keep it moving. And I'm actually a new lesbian. And I have identified as a lesbian for the last couple of years. And prior to that, I held a lot of different identities, which I'm about to explain to you. And first, I gotta make a large caveat, which is that while I'm gonna try to provide you with some definitions, they may or may not match some of the other definitions you'll be finding out about online or in textbooks, or may not even match your own definitions. So these terms are alive, and they're constantly changing. They're being solidified by us, for us, and let's just get into it. So initially, when I came to the United States and didn't understand English very much, I had a girl give me a kiss, and the rest of my friends basically told me I was a bisexual person. And I said, cool, because I thought everyone was a bisexual person. And in fact, I later learned that that was not something cool to be, and and they stopped being my friends. And at the time, because I didn't know a lot around gender and sexuality, I thought that bisexual people were folks who are into men and women. And of course, the actual definition of the word bisexual is a person who is into more than one gender. And that person may be into folks who are of their own gender or different from their gender. They can be into folks of 2 or 3 or however many genders that exist. And I think with every term that I try to talk about, I think it's important to let the person define it for themselves and define it for you when you're close enough for them to do that, okay? So once I got to NYU, I thought that the term bisexual was no longer trendy and very archaic, and that the trendiest thing for us to do was to become queer. And I gotta tell you, we had a night at NYU where a bunch of us got together and said that I'm no longer gay, I am no longer bi, I'm no longer trans, we're gonna be queer overnight. And that's the kind of thing we did. And for the next 10 years, I was queer. But actually, the word queer is an incredibly important term. And of course, it was used as an insult against our community, but many of us have reclaimed it as an important and empowering term. And it could mean any number of things that don't really want to engage with the sex and gender binary as it currently stands. So I think we have to rally for the term, but I'm no longer comfortable using it because we are actually identifying as lesbians right here. So for me, the word lesbian really means that I am primarily interested in being with women, be they cis or trans or non-binary types of women. What does all of that mean? It's important to point out that I'm also a gender, which means I'm part of the transgender community. And the word agender means that I don't actually have a gender identity or don't feel I have a gender. And I use they or she pronouns for anyone wondering. And that's my personal take on things. But when we're out in the world, nobody really thinks about the fact that agender people exist, right? And so for the most part, the cisgender folks out there, those are the folks that were raised with a gender and believe they are that gender. Like this beautiful girl over here, who is my favorite girl. She was raised like a girl, and she's still a girl, or a woman. Which is why I always ask her to kiss me like a woman.
Like a real woman.
Like a real woman. And I identify as an agender person. But when we're out and about, what do people think of us? They think we're just two women,
or they think we're, a het couple. They think I'm a man, which is very offensive.
And incorrect. It's also offensive that we're being thought of as a straight couple because, again, we're rooting for you. Do not forget that we're here for when you're ready to shed that identity, okay? So what else do we want to say? Being a lesbian is amazing.
It is amazing.
And reclaiming the word dyke is amazing.
Is amazing.
And that's why we're the dicologists. Here we're hoping to let the next generation know that you can still identify as a lesbian and center your life around women, and also incorporate transgender people into that identity and into the LGBTQ community. And what are we hoping to do next in our next episode?
We are hoping to talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you.
And the butch femme dynamic, which has a lot of influence on the way that we have sex and relationships. But actually, if you want to talk us through more of what these terms mean to you, please post in the comments below.
Good job.
I did. And we would love to talk about what it all means to you.
Exactly. And hopefully, for those of you who, are part of the LGBTQ community and who are Christian and who are Black as well, we can talk about that and flesh that out a little bit more in a future episode.
That would be really important. I think that's a struggle that people are going through every single day. Yeah. All right, so thank you for listening, and
peace
have a good
out.
time.
Later.